ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौरांगी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थेषुभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदायादिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। स्वस्ति अस्तु विश्वस्य खलः प्रसीदतां ध्यायन्तु भूतानि शिवं मिथो धिया। मनश्च भद्रं भजता दधोक्षजे आवेश्यतां नो मतिरप्यहेतुकी। Reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 21, beginning from verse number 1. So, in the previous chapter, we read the description of rainy season and then the autumn season. And here, in this chapter specifically, there is description of glorification of Krishna's playing the flute by the gopis in context with the autumn season. So Sri Sukha Vacha Itham Sharat Swachha Jalam Padmakara Sugandhina Navishadvayuna Vatam Sagopo Gopalakochita. So in this way means the way it is described in the previous chapter, the Saramritu, the autumn season. Achyuta or Krishna, along with cows and cowherd boys, he entered into Vrindavan. So Vrindavan means the forest, and Vraj, when they use the word Vraj, that refers to the cowshed or the place of their residence. So they entered into Vrindavan, Navishad Vayuna Vatam, where there is gentle wind blowing, carrying the fragrance of lotus flowers, and the Vrindavan had nice lakes with clean water, Swachha Jala. एकविंशे वेणुगीत स्मरार्ता गोपिका मुहुः वेणु वृंदावन मृगी देव्यादीनां यशो जग. In this 21st chapter, there is a description of Venu Gita. So there are these 5 famous songs in 10th Canto. One of them is called Venu Gita, or song about the flute. So the Gopikas, the cowherd girls, they were very much excited by the sound of this flute, and they were full of love for Krishna, and thus they described the greatness of the flute of Vrindavan, of the deers, female deers especially, and the heavenly ladies, how they were all influenced by the flute playing of Krishna. Yad yad vanam gatah Krishnas charitam madhuram vyadhat prem netrekshitam gopyo goshtasthas tadavarnayan. So in whichever forest Krishna went, and whatever sweet pastimes he performed, the gopis, which were although situated in the Goshtha, means in the cowshed, they were able to perceive it with the eyes of love, prema netrekshitam, and they describe them. So all the description which will come here is by the gopis, but they are not physically witnessing it, but they have a feeling, or they have spurti, the inner experience of it. Sharadam varnitva tadatmekim venugan lilam vanishyan stan madhurim mandite vrindavane prathamam krishnasya praveshamah ithamiti. So after describing the autumn season, and then with the intention to describe the pastime of Krishna's playing flute in the autumn season, first he describes the entry of Krishna into Vrindavan, that is into the forest, that Vrindavan which was full of wonderful beauty and sweetness. So that's how this chapter begins. Padmakar Sugandhina iti Padmakar Sambandhat Saugandhyam Satyam Chajem. So Padmakar Sugandhi means the fragrance of the lotus flowers, and this also indicates the coolness of the air, because the fragrance is carried by the air. Smell is the distinctive characteristic of earth, not of the air. And quality, smell is a quality, and quality is always in a substance. You cannot see any substance without quality, or quality without substance. So qualities and substance, they have a relationship of inherence. They go together, they are inseparable. Even if you try to separate the quality, it will go with the substance only. So wind is carrying this fragrance, means is carrying the earth also with it, because there is no fragrance without earth. So therefore it is described here as Saugandha, means it is full of that Sugandha, that fragrance, and also cool, because it's not too hot now. We already said Samasitoshnam, that it was neither too hot nor too cold. Vayubhiriti anukter vayuna iti ekvachnena va tasya mandyam cha. So here the plural should have been used vayubhi, because wind is not something like just one little entity, but it is made of so many particles. So it says ekvachan is used, singular vayuna. So that is to show that it was gentle. That is the way to say it. So although the sloka is not saying, the verse does not say that there was gentle air blowing, but because of the usage of singular case for the vayu, for the wind or air, that is implied sense. It was gentle, not very strong or harsh. Go Gopalko Sahito Atra Madhupatiriti Visheshya Padene Uttara Slokaha Stenani. So he is along with cow and cowherd boys. Krishna is not alone. Generally you never see him alone. He is always with cows, cowherd boys, gopis. He is not like Brahman. Brahman is a loner. He is always alone. Krishna is always with his associates. So therefore Gopalko Sahita. And in the next sloka the word Madhupati is used. So he says that this Madhupati is the Visheshya, the substantive or the object, and this is here is a qualifier for that. So Madhupati riti Visheshya Padena Uttar Sloka Stenanva. So therefore this is to be joined or combined with the following sloka. They go together. So first just the beauty of Vrindavan is being described here. Because he entered into Vrindavan, and Vrindavan was so wonderful and so beautiful, and by his presence it becomes more wonderful, and therefore he gets so much happy that he plays flute, because you play music in a happy mood. So he is so much full of love that love then comes out through the flute, and that is the Venugit, that is the song of flute. Kushamit vanraji shashmi bhinga dvijakula bhushta sarasarin mahidram madhupati ravgahya charayanga sahe pashupala balascha kujavenam. So Krishna, he entered Vrindavan, that is said in the previous sloka. So now what is that he saw there? So he saw Kusamita Vanaraji. He saw that the trees, plants, creepers, everything was having flowers. So all around, so much flower. It was like a flower garden, and wonderful fragrance, all types of flowers there. And because there are flowers, then naturally there are bumblebees. And there are so many flowers that bumblebees are just intoxicated. So Sushmi Bhringa, they have drunk so much honey that they are intoxicated, and therefore they are singing. lot of bumblebees going around making the humming sound. And Dvijakula Ghoshta, and then there is also the sound of the flock of birds. Birds are also happy because everything is nice. There are plenty of fruits and flowers and trees, so they are just sitting happily and chirping. So there is a sound of bird chirping and there is a sound of bees humming. And Sarasarin Mahidram, and there are a lot of ponds full of clean water, river, and also the mountain. So Madhupatir Avgahi Acharyanga. So Krishna, who is called Madhupati, so he is also the master of Madhu. Madhu means honey, or he is the sweet Lord. There is some song like that, or sweet Lord.
I really want to see.
Hmm?
I really want to see.
So sweet Lord means Madhupati. That's what it means. Madhu means sweet, Pati means Lord. So the sweet Lord of Vrindavan, and you want to see him, but he himself is seeing Vrindavan. So Madhupatir Avgahiya. So Madhupati, Krishna, he saw the beauty of Vrindavan. Avgahiya means he was actually drowned in it. Generally, Avgahan means you jump into water. Avgahiya means diving. So it is as if he dived into this wonderful beauty of Vrindavan. Means his heart was completely captivated. It was so beautiful. Everything was just perfect. And the cows were grazing, Chari and Ga. So then what did he do? He was along with Sahapashupala Balak Balas Chukujavenu. So he was along with his friends, headed by Balaram, and then he sounded his flute. So Chukuja. Kuja means like the chirping sound. It is generally used for the birds. So he put his nectarine love into the flute, and came out the wonderful sound which captivated everybody's attention when he played it. So he sat down surrounded by his friends and started playing the flute. So Kusumita Vana Rajishu Sushmino Matta Bhringa Dvijascha. So in this forest which was full of flowers, all the trees, the rows of the trees, there were intoxicated bumblebees and also the birds, and the birds were also making their chirping sound. Tesham kulai Gushtani Saramsi Sarito Mahidrasya Yasmin. There are also river, that is Yamuna river, ponds and the mountains. So Tatvanam, that is how Vrindavan is described here. Madhupati Krishna. So Krishna is called here as Madhupati. Generally Madhu are the one clan among the Yadavas. That's why he is called Madhava. So Vrishnis, Madhus, Andhakas, Kokaras, they are all sub-clans of the Yadavas. But here Madhupati is used here. Avgahayeti yasya avgahanena vanam shobhate tasya madhor vasantasya api patir iti ati shobha sleshena dhvanita. So Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is explaining why the word Madhupati has been specifically used here. Because generally in Vrindavan the word Madhupati is not used for him. So why it is used? He says that it is related with the word avgahya. Yasya avgahanena vanam shobhate. That this beauty of the forest is because of all the sweetness, especially the flowers of various types which have madhu in it. So Krishna is the Lord of that. And madhu also means spring season. So the beauty of this forest is as if it is the spring season. Because generally the flowers, they bloom in the spring season. So he says, Yasya avgahanena vanam sobhate tasya madhu. That madhu or vasant ritu, the spring season is when it comes, then the flowers bloom. And Krishna is the Lord of that, as if he is the Lord of the spring season, which is indicative of splendor of Vrindavan. That as if Vrindavan is in the spring season and Krishna is the master of that, so means he is also blooming. That is the significance. And then both combined together here he says Ati Shobha Sleshena Dhvanita. So by using this word which has a pun, because Madhupati means the Lord of the Madhus, and it also means the Lord of the spring season. So then it is indicative of the splendorous beauty of Vrindavan in which Krishna was absorbed. Chukuja Kujayamasa. So Chukuja means that he played. Saha Pasupala Balaiti Vanavgahane Gocharane Cha Sahityam Natu Venu Kujam. So he is along with the Pasupala, the cowherd boys, and Balaram. So he says that they are with him only in seeing the beauty of Vrindavan, not in playing the flute. So when he says that he played the flute along with them, does not mean that they are also playing flute. So when something is said that they are coming along with this, does not mean that both are performing the activity. So Pitrena Saha Putrena Saha Agatah Pita. The father has come along with the son. So here coming is done by both of them. The father has come, the son has also come. But Krishnena Saha Mathnati Yashoda. Yashoda is churning the yogurt along with Krishna. Does not mean that Krishna is churning. Krishna is just present there. He is not churning. So here the relationship of Krishna is not with churning, but when you say the father has come along with the son, then both are related with the verb. So he says that here playing of the flute, it is related only with Krishna, not with others. The others did not play the flute. Therefore he says Pasupal Balaiti Vanavgahane Gocharane Cha Sahityam. So they are with him only in the act of tending the cows. Because Charyan Ga Saha Pasupal Balas. So the Saha Pasupal Bala is going along with Charyan Ga, that he was tending the cows along with cowherd and Balram. And Chukuja Venum is separate, is not to be related with that.
Maharaj, this the example what you gave, Krishnena Saha, Yashoda Mathnati, and Pitrena Saha Putram Avishyat. So this is whether both the nouns are going along with the verb or whether one is going along. So this is understood from context, or it's like
from the context.
No grammatical rules.
So Uttara Shloke Krishnasya Venu Gitam Ityukte. So he is giving, somebody may say, why are you saying, why that the other boys were not playing the flute? It's the same question. He says, we know this from the following sloka. So it is understood from the context, because in the following sloka, it is only described that it is Krishna who played the flute. So therefore we understand. Otherwise, from the sloka, it is not clear whether he only played the flute or others also played. तद्व्रजस्त्रियाश्रुत्य वेणुगीतं स्मरोदयं काश्चित् परोक्षं कृष्णस्य स्वसखिभ्यो नवर्णयन्. So, yes.
Here, Venu is also used singular, and that also, as that one person is playing Venu.
No, but he says he played the Venu flute along with others, so you will use singular only. It will be used singular only, then also. तद्व्रजस्त्रिया आश्रुत्य वेणुगीतं स्मरोदयं काश्चित् परोक्षं कृष्णस्य स्वसखिभ्यो अन्ववर्णयन्. So the women of Vraja, after hearing the Venugeet, the song of the flute, their love was excited, smarodayam. Then kaschit paroksham krishnasya svasakhibhyo varnam. So then some of them, some of the gopis, they describe to their friends Krishnasya, in this Venugeet of Krishna, the playing of Krishna's flute, paroksham. Paroksham means indirect, not a paroksham because they are not seeing it. So they are describing. Or paroksha also here means that they are not in presence of Krishna. Or paroksha can also mean that their description is indirect. They are speaking in a way they want to express their feeling of love, but they are going to express this in an indirect manner. So it can be applied in different ways. Tat Krishnasya Venugeetam Ashrutya Paroksham Yatha Syat Tatha iti. So after hearing the song of the flute of Krishna, they describe it in an indirect manner. Tasam Braje Sthitatvat. Because they are situated in Braja and Krishna is playing the flute in the forest. Tadvarnitum arabdha स्मरन्त्यः कृष्णचेष्टितं नाशकन् स्मरवेगेन विक्षिप्तमनसो नृप. So Sri Shukdev Goswami says that, O king, they started to describe it, remembering Krishna or remembering the activities of Krishna because of too much love manifest in their mind, in their body. They became agitated in the mind and therefore were unable to describe.
Paroksh in the previous verse means indirect, or like it is because of the being further away from Krishna?
Yeah, that's why I said. Indirect means what? Means they are not present there, that's what he said. Tasam Brajasthe Tattvat. They are situated in Braja.
तो दोनों को ये मतलब दोनों both of them will go hand in hand. If someone is far away from something, so the description will be indirect because they are not witnessing it.
That's what it means. Paroksha means not witnessing yourself. So tad Venu Geetam Varnayitum Arabdha Arabdhavatyopi Varnayitum Nashakan. So they began to describe this song of Krishna's flute, although they started, but they were unable to describe it. And the reason for that is Smaravegena, because of too much of love. So love is a very powerful emotion, and when one becomes emotional, sometimes one cannot speak. So that's what happened. So now here first Krishna's beauty is being described, how he was when he entered into Vrindavan. This is one of the very famous verses from Bhāgavatam which describes Krishna's beauty. Baraha pīdam natvar vapuh karnayoh karnikaram bibhradvasah kanakakapisham vajayantincha malam randhran venoradhar sudhaya purayan gopavrindair vrindaranyam svapadaramanam pravishad gita kirtihi. So Vrindaranyam, Swapadaramanam Vrindaranyam Pravishad. So Krishna, he entered into the forest of Vrinda, which is the place of his play. And how he entered? Pravishad Gita Kirti, when he was being praised by his friends. And then describes first his appearance, Baraha Pīdam. So he has this peacock feather stuck in his head, on the top of hair. And Natvar Vapu. So his body is like a dancer. He appeared like a dancer, Natvar. So Natanam Varaha, Natavara, best of the dancers. Or he is a Vara. And Karnayo Karnikaram. On both of his ears he has one flower. So how can one flower be on two ears? So he is so playful because he is a dancer. So sometimes he takes the flower and puts in the left ear, and sometimes he puts on the right ear. Just like these days it's a fashion to have one earring, but it's only one, it doesn't go to the other one. So he has one karnikara flower, and it goes to this side and that side. And Bibhrad Vasaha Kanaka Kapisham. He is adorned in a wonderful golden yellow cloth. So his attire is golden yellow, shining. And Vajayantincha Malam. And he has a nice garland. Vajayanti means has 5 colors of flowers in it. So it is multicolored, not just made from one type of flower, but 5 types. And Randhran Veno Radhar Sudhaya. So Adhar Sudhaya Veno Randhran Puriyan. So he is trying to fill the holes of the flute with the nectar of his lips. So flute has got holes in it. He wants to fill them up. And to fill up you have to put something, like you have an empty cup, so you want to fill it up. So you pour some water and it gets filled. So it says Randhran. Randhran means the holes. So Randhra also means deficiency. So he's trying to complete the deficiency of the flute with the nectar of his lips, which is coming out from his mouth. Purayan means filling it up. And he is along with his friends Gopavindai, Gita Kirti being sung. So that's how he entered into Vrindavan.
This Geet Kirti is in Tritiya Manas? Gop Vrinda Geet Kirti? ये उसका विशेषण टाभ्याम दिस
Gita Kirti is Krishna's Visheshan, Natvara Vapur, Bhāgavatam Natvara. How it is in Tritiya?
जो गोप वृंद उनकी गीत कीर्ति कर रहे हैं उसके द्वारा उन्होंने वृंदावन
बहुव्रीहि समास लगाना. तृतीया विभक्ति कहाँ है यहाँ पे? तो तृतीया भी कीर्तिया और कीर्ति भी. सो तदेव तासाम मनोविक्षेपक स्मर वेग जनकम कृष्ण चेष्टितम किम इति अपेक्षायाम श्री शुक एव सर्वज्ञत्वाद वर्णयति बर्हापीड़. So in the previous verse it was described vikshipta manasa, that they became agitated. They were not able to remain composed in their mind. So what happened? Why was that? So he says tadeva tasam. It was this very flute, this playing of the flute, or rather this maravega. So tasam manovikshepaka smaravega janakam Krishna cheshtitam. So the activities of Krishna chesta or Krishna Līlā, which they remembered, that is what brought manifested love or force of love in their heart, and that disturbed the mind. So what is that activity? Krishna cheshtitam. What is that chesta or activity of Krishna? So to say this, it is Sukadeva Goswami who describes this, because he is a Sarvagya, he is omniscient. So he is describing, not the gopis. So Krishna describes that it is this chesta which they remembered, because they see him entering into the forest, and he goes, everybody comes to see him. And now they are remembering this, and this is what is agitating their mind. Barha pīdaha shirobhushna yatra tatha bhutam. So barha pīda means it's the ornament on his head, this peacock feather. And natvar vapur bibhrata, and he is dressed like a dancer or like an actor. Bibhrata is having this. Karnikaram ekameva karnayo kadachid vame kadachid dakshina. So he has only one flower of karnikara. Sometimes he puts it on the left ear, sometimes on the right ear. Swasya yavan mattatam abhivanjaitum bibhrata. So what does it signify? It is describing his playfulness as a youthful boy. That's what he is doing. So he is youthful. Yavan mattatam abhivanjaitum bibhrata. To Krishna cheshtitam tasham atishayena smarvega janakam bhavati. So it is this type of chesta or activity of Krishna which excites love in the heart of gopis, because he is so attractive, he is very playful. He is not some serious looking person, but very joyful, and they are remembering this. Vajayantim panchavarna pushpa gratitam. Vajayanti means which has 5 types of 5 colored flowers in it. Sometimes Vajanti is said which goes up to the knees. That is called Vajanti. So Venu Vadanam Utprekshate. So playing of Krishna's flute, it is not said that he is playing flute. It is described as an Utpreksha. So what is he doing actually? Tena svavenum svadhar sudhya eva nishchidri karomi iti Krishna secha. So flute has got chidra. So in chidra means a hole. Literally that's what it means. Chidir dhatu. But the word chidra also means defect, flaws, faults. So if somebody who finds fault in another person, then is called chidra anveshan, that is finding fault. So he says that Krishna is trying to cover up the faults of the flute. That is the utpreksha. That is the conjecture. And he wants to, this is his wish, that I want to make this flute free from any defects. And how he wants to remove this, because if somebody has a flaw, means some lacuna, something is missing, so you have to supply that missing thing to that person. So he is trying to fill the gap with the nectar from his lips. Adharasodhya. So this is the attraction. So swavenum swadhar sudha eva nishchidri karomi iti Krishna says. Adhar sudha tu venum nispranam api sansparshena chetitva sapranikritya tena trijagadam jagadapi unmadya paschattam kathoram acetan svabhavam anidhikaranam jatva tadiya chidrebhyo nishritya vrajbalanam कर्णद्वारेण तन्मन प्रविश्य स्वं सफलीकृत्य तत्रैव सर्वविक्रमान् दर्शयामास इति द्योतितम्. So he put his own nectar from his lips into the flute to make the flute free from any defects. So as soon as this nectar touched the flute, then what happened? That this flute, which is actually without life, it is a lifeless, because it's just a piece of bamboo. So by the contact of this nectar, it became alive. Because that's what nectar, Amrita is supposed to be that. Amrita, once you translate into English, it loses all its meaning. So Amrita means that which makes you immortal. That's Mrita. Amrita means dead. And Amrita means never die. So now this flute is dead. So this nectar comes into, flute comes to life. So it becomes pranikritya, the life, because prana also means the air. So if somebody is dead, means you say that his life air is gone. You live on life air. If you don't get air for a few minutes, Govinda Namo Nama. Finished. So therefore he is putting prana into the flute to make it alive. Because when you play flute, you have to blow air into it. So as if it is trying to make it alive. And he made it alive. So therefore he says sapranikritya. So, and alive means now it becomes conscious. So chetitva sapranikritya tena trijagat api unumadya. And this flute then intoxicated all the three worlds. Because it is coming to life now. So the piece of bamboo is lying here, but once it comes in the hand of an artist and he throws little air into it, it intoxicates everybody, right? Somebody who knows how to play the flute, that's what it does. So that's what it happened. So three, Jagat api unmadya. So the three worlds, then it will be described that even Brahma, Indra, so Shiva Purodha, they were trying to figure out what raga is he playing. So they are big masters of music, but they were unable to understand. So this is the intoxicating characteristic of the flute. But then you realize that this flute actually is hard. and it does not have consciousness in it. So they thought that she is not qualified to have me, this nectar. This nectar is meant for living beings, not for dead people. So what is the point? So kathoram acetan subhavam anadhikarinam jatva. So therefore he realized that this flute is not an adhikari, is not qualified to have this. So therefore this sudha, this nectar, it came out from the holes of the flute. It did not stay. First it went inside and gave life. But then he realized this is just a dead thing, So it came out. So tadiya chidrebhyo nishritya. And where did it go? So it went straight into the holes of the ears of the young gopis. So it came out from the holes of the flute and went into the ears of the Braj gopis. And from there, it did not stay there, it entered into their heart. So tanmana pravishya, and that's where it found solace. So yeah, this is the place I should be, not that hard flute. Because this is such a nice and soft and loving place. So it went there. Saflikritya tatraiva swasarva vikraman drasyamas. And it shows its prowess there. That you see who I am. And that it manifested all the anubhavas, the symptoms of love in the bodies of the gopis, the hair standing on the end, trembling, tears in the eyes, all that. So this is what it did. So Dyotitam, this is what is the meaning of this Puriyam. Swapadayo Rāsa-līlā Kurdanadibhi Ramanam Yatra Taditi. So Vrindavan is called Swapada Ramanam. So it can have so many meanings. The direct meaning is that it is a place for his feet to play. So why is it said? Because this is the place where he did Rāsa-līlā. This is the place where he danced. This is the place where he jumped around with cowherd boys. Kurdanadibhi Ramanam Yatra Taditi. So Vrajad Vaishishtyam. So this shows the superiority of Vrindavan over Vraj. And just remember, Vraj means the village or their place of residence. And Vrindavan means forest. Although Vraj and Vrindavan are used interchangeably, but here that is the distinction being made. So this is the place which is Swapada Ramanam, because when he goes home he cannot do all this. So this is where he entered. Pravishat iti uktaposh nyayaneva na punarukti. So Pravishat is not repetition because it's implying all this. Iti Venu Ravam Rajan.
Abaji, this verse is sing very nicely in Mandakanta Thanda.
So sing it.
Varha Pidam Natavarava Karnayoga Nikaram. Like that.
Varhamitam natavaravapu karnayo karnikaram vibradvasha kanakapsham Vajayantim cha malam radran venoradarasudaya purayan gopa vrindara vrindaranyam sapadara manam pravishad gita kirtihi.
Okay.
कौन सा चीज है? महाराज जी लास्ट लाइन समझ नहीं आई, प्लीज एक बार दोबारा समझा दीजिए.
वो कह रहा है कि why this Pravisha this came, already it was said he entered into Vrindavan, so why say it again now? So he said just to nourish this idea what has been described here, so it is not defect. Generally repetition is considered as defect. He already said avgahiya, so why is again Pravisha?
और कूदन मतलब कूदना.
Iti Venu Ravam Rajan. sarvabhuta manoharam shrutva vrajastriyah sarva varnayantyo bhire bhire. So Sri Sukadeva Goswami says that, O king, in this way, when the gopis, they heard the sound of the flute, which was captivating to all living beings. So it is not captivating only to gopis, but it captivates the heart of everybody, but specifically of the gopis. So although it is Sarva Bhuta Manohara, but it specifically had the impact on the hearts of the gopis. So then Sarva Varnayantyo Abhire Bhire. So they began to describe this flute song. And therefore from the next sloka, that's where the Venugit begins, from verse number 7. So tatascha katichit kshananantram Krishna cheshtita smaranotha smaravega vayagrasya upshame vritte sati Venugitam varnayetum samyag asakan api ityaha iti. So in the previous sloka it was said that they were unable to describe. So now he says that after that, when some time has passed, katishit kshana anantaram, Krishna cheshtita smaranotha smaravega vayagrasya upshame. So that agitation which was caused by the flow of love due to remembrance of the activities of Krishna, it quelled down. Because emotions don't always stay like that. If you become angry, then don't remain angry for the next 24 hours. You become angry for a short period, then you come back. So emotions are like that. They move. Slowly they height and then come down. So therefore upshamay vritte sati Venu Gitam. So then they again want to describe Varnitum Samyag Asakanapi. Although they were still not completely capable of describing, but they describe. Samapti arth comes Maravega Vikshepe Samapte Sati Tirtha. So means when there this word iti is used in the sense that it came down or it quietened or quelled. That is the sense of the word iti here. Iti Venuravam Rajan. So iti hetu prakarana prakaradi samaptishu iti amara. According to Amar Kosh, the word iti is used in the sense of cause, subject, variety, and an end of something. So here it is used in the sense of end. Sarvabhuta manoharam natu ras arambha samaya gatamiva gopi matra manoharam. So this flute sound which is being described here, it says this is appealing, this is attractive to all living beings. Unlike the one which will be described in the 29th chapter, there also Krishna played flute. So, and then they hear, so that time only the gopis heard that, not everyone else. That was specifically relayed only for them. Only they could catch, others not. So therefore there it was Gopi Matra Manohar Nisamya Geetam Tadananga Vardhanam. So Varnayantyo Abhire Bhire Sakhi. So they began to describe it. Sakhi Tvam Man Manaha Pravishya Eva Evam Brushe Yato Ahamapi Evam Vivakshe Iti Pratyekam Anubhav Samya Uplabdhya Paraspar Alinganam Tasham. So this word Abhire Bhire has, generally it comes from the root Rab Dhatu, Rabhasya, which means to begin, but it can also mean to embrace. So he is giving that sense also. Means one gopi is describing, and the other one is saying, oh, this is also I feel, and then they embrace each other. That's what saying. Tvam man manah pravishya evam brushe. You are entering into my mind and speaking like this. Yato ahamapi evam vivakshe, because I also wanted to speak like this. Eh? It's like sometimes you say that you have taken away words from my mouth. So like that. Iti pratyekam anubhav samya uplabdhya. So it's like their experience is same or similar, and thus therefore they embrace each other. So it is in that sense it is said varnayantyo abhire bhire, because varnayantyo abhire bhire, so varnayanto also already means describing, while describing. So how is that began to describe? So he brings out the sense of abhire bhire as embracing. So while describing, they embraced each other. So abhi will be in the sense of each other. So now from this next sloka onwards, they will be describing the wonderful characteristic of the flute sound and how it influences others. So it is not spoken by one specific gopi or all of them together, but different gopis speak like this. But the plural is used in the sense, as you said, that they felt like speaking in this way. So we'll stop here if there is any question to ask.
Babaji,
Yeah.
Śrīmad Radharani is the most dear and the most confidential to Krishna. There a Gopa, most dear and most confidential.
What is the question?
Does Krishna have a Gopa who's most dear and most confidential to him? Maybe Sridham, because he is the brother of Śrīmad Radharani.
Yeah, he is considered as very confidential.
Mm-hmm. Also the most dear.
Yeah. I mean, Balram is also there, so it's difficult to say, but Sridham is very intimate with him.
And Uddhava, Uddhava is very confidential, but is he also a Gopa?
No, Uddhava is not in Vraj. He is in Dwarka.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I've understood that the gopis, they describe indirectly, because they have also heard indirectly the flute of Krishna. They were not directly present, or what was the meaning? How
Indirect means they are not seeing Krishna playing the flute. Paroksha.
But they hear it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Paroksha means where you are not present.
And now I find this interesting because earlier we had read that the commentator here, he read between the lines that Krishna was meeting already with the girls in Govardhan, and so does it mean that there he didn't play the flute, or was it that
No, now he is playing flute in Vrindavan and gopis are in Vraj and they are talking there. So it's not aparoksha.
Okay.
Krishna is in forest and he is playing the flute there now, and they are in the village.
I see. So but this was not a statement, this did not say that this was now the first time they ever heard the flute or something like that. No. It's just now a special flute play, or now it is just described. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.